Hi, I'm Tony Mazzella, CEO of Mazzella Companies. Today we're going to be talking about what to do when incidents happen related to product failure or any type of incident that may occur to a customer. And these things don't happen that often, and that's why this video is important when the occasional incident may happen.
My name is Tom Corral, Vice President of Sales, Mazzella Lifting Technologies. And the purpose of this video really is intended for that person to have an organized approach to responding to an incident that may happen out in the field. And in the long run, it's going to help eliminate possibly further exposure for your company. And also, it could open up to liability issues if you really don't have a targeted approach. And really will help save quite a bit and perhaps trying to go back and recreate something if you really don't have a targeted approach.
Early on in the investigation, that's where the criticalness is to get all the details. You can't go back and recreate the details days or weeks or months later. So the sooner you do it, the better job you do it up front, makes for a better situation down the road.
When you're first made aware of an incident at a customer, it might be via a phone call or it might be during a sales call when somebody walks into a customer's office. It's important to remain calm, remain cool, be collected. And if you have not had training, if the person taking that call or involved in that discussion has not had training, it's critical to get them over immediately to somebody that has had that training.
If you've been trained, you'll know you want to ask the critical questions. Those include making sure you know if there's any injuries or fatalities, certainly, and has medical attention been provided. So ensure that those things get taken care of right away. Then you're going to want to record who you're talking with, what their contact information is, and then when and where did the incident occur. You want to write everything down and or enter it in a computer, but make no extra notes. All you want to do is to record the facts or the information direct from that source and no commentary about it at all.
They don't know what happened, and many times they make accusations against the product itself when there's no fact at all. So the main thing is just to listen, to show compassion and interest, and let the customer know that they are interested, they want to help, and they'll follow up ASAP.
You know, and if there is that incident, you also have to remember the customer's point of view. You do need to be empathetic. They're probably going through a situation where they need your support at that time. And you also, along with that, have to be able to make sure that they feel you're on their side.
So you take that call, you're made aware of an incident that happened at a customer. Something you want to make sure you avoid is offering any type of opinion or assessment of what may have happened.
Make no direct apologies. We don't really know the cause or the whys and what fors. Don't put your organization at risk by taking immediate responsibility for an issue you know nothing about. So acknowledge that an investigation needs to take place and proper determination made for causation, and you'll want to make sure that you can get a company representative, whoever that might be, involved downstream.
Not taking enough photographs, not documenting some of the discussions on the field. Make sure photographs encompass the entire accident site, discussion with various people who are witnesses. That should be documented. If we can get a hold of the product, which does not happen very often, but at least photographs can be taken, try to identify whose product it is, and get an idea of what happened. Never commit to why an accident happened or that it's even your product.
Having that sense of urgency, having that organized approach, it does perhaps help limit the risk to the company and also helps protect the company's reputation.
The details matter, and it's real important that you get all the details. You get people's names, their phone numbers, their cell numbers, because sometimes down the road when you need that, That person may no longer work for that company. So having all those details, and maybe even people that were casual observers. So you may have to go well beyond just a couple people that are right in front of you. You need to ask a lot of questions and be very curious about what went on, the timing of things, in order to get the facts down.
When a product fails or there's an accident in the field, there's a lot of upset people, hopefully no fatalities. And so when a supplier contacts their customer, right away they're just upset. They don't know what happened, and many times they make accusations against the product itself when there's no fact at all. So the main thing is just to listen, to show compassion and interest, and let the customer know that they are interested, they want to help, and they'll follow up ASAP.
After resolving the question about injured or fatal parties being attended to, there's really no more emergency except for one possible life-threatening issue and one commercial. And the life-threatening is that because of the incident, there's some kind of wreckage that offers some kind of danger, risk, or hazard to responders and or folks that are going to have to clean that up. And that's really on the site owner's responsibility is to take care of that, not your company. So yes, there could be some urgency, but it's not on your part, it's on their part, and they'll have to manage the unwinding of everything to get the wreckage or conditions satisfied so that don't present a hazard anymore. The other one might be a commercial issue in that the incidents occurred in an area that's bottlenecking or causing problems from a lost production standpoint, and the employer or site owner wants to clear this wreckage out as fast as possible to get back into a production mode. Well, make sure that they, to the best of your ability, be asking all the time, can you take full video or photo footage or pictures of all of the site, large, medium, and up close if necessary, to capture and memorialize everything related to the incident.
As you begin that line of questioning, that investigation, it's really critical to really take the position, the mindset that your company is not guilty of anything at this point. You're just there, again, as a resource to help the customer as they sort through what may have caused the incident.
I've been in a few situations where initially when I walked into the incident, it looked like a certain thing happened, but as we asked questions and got into it, we found that the cause or the multiple causes were something much different than originally appeared. So you can't assume anything. The only thing I would assume is that it wasn't what it looked like when you first walked in.
You should start documenting as soon as you're made aware of a situation. And you want to record of course, the company name, the contact that's making you aware of the incident. You want to record the date and time that they have contacted you. You also want to record the date and time of the incident. You might get the call in the morning and that incident actually happened at 11:15 p.m. the night before. So you want to get the dates and the time for that information.
You know, the person that contacts you could be anywhere from very emotional to very calm about a situation that you wouldn't expect them to be calm about. So you can't let that influence whether you're going to document well or not document well. You still need to follow the process and get the details that Tom referred to.
You really should gather the names and talk to as many people that were around that incident at the time that it occurred.
And you should be asking questions of those people about who else may have been here when this happened. Because maybe when you get there, the shift has changed or something like that. So it's important to find out who else may have been there so that you may have future questions or interviews with those people.
You have to remember that any notes that you take can be subpoenaed and taken into a courtroom. So you just want to record those items that are coming to you directly, and then you'll be able to transfer those over to management, to the insurance underwriters, or any other people on your team that are going to help resolve some of the situation. You'll want to ask to see if OSHA has locked down the site. Or is the owner of the site locked it down? Can anybody get in to take any photos and or make any evaluations? Ask if the crane or rigging equipment that's involved, if it's been moved. Were there any photographs taken of it before it was moved? Or have they tagged it and made sure that it's part of the evidence that will be eventually need to be evaluated by others? So kind of impress on them that keeping that equipment set aside and marked and or labeled is very important for future reference.
It's very important in the very beginning to even ask the question as to whether or not there were any injuries, was there any damage to property or equipment, and record what that answer is, because even after the fact, even after that initial conversation, that story may change.
Regardless of what you're told in the field regarding a breakage of a product, and if it's indicated there are no fatalities, no injuries, no equipment damage, be very leery about giving opinions at that point. Because later on, many times, injuries are recorded that are not known up front. There may be product damages that are not initially discovered. And so I always approach any kind of a product breakage the same until I find out the facts, and then we actually go from there.
Review the event and certainly get with your management and decide, and they'll decide, do we need to call our insurance carrier, or is this something, maybe it's a couple $100, a little damage, no injuries, no issues, the customer just wants a little explanation. They'll understand and measure the severity of it.
And also at some point in the process, you may want to check your insurance company's requirements related to reporting incidents.
If you need to pass this along and get the insurance carriers involved, they're going to want all the pieces of information that you have. You may be interviewed. They'll want to see your notes. Depending on the severity, there's probably one of 3 or 4 things that are going to happen. The insurance carrier will look for an expert in the subject area of the incident. Could be hardware or wire rope or synthetic slings or cranes or whatever it's going to be. They'll find an expert and bring them in. They may not get access until after OSHA has cleared the site, if they're still there, and certainly they need the permission of the site owner, the customer, to get in through the gate. But the carrier will take care of that. If it's not quite as severe, the carrier often will gather a small team, a site investigator that works for the insurance carrier, maybe a lawyer or an adjuster, and they'll go in and work with the customer, making a quick resolution if possible. Another option is they may be looking to you for your relationship with this customer and asking, can you go ahead and go in with them, gather information? It's maybe not a huge dollar deal, and you may be asked to perform that data gathering process. You might want to be asking some of your OEM, original equipment manufacturer, their engineering group, or some of their folks to confirm what is it that I need to collect information for to help you understand some of the elements involved with this incident. It's their product maybe, and they're going to want to have some input or some insight as to some of the occurrence. So contacting them certainly isn't out of character, and they may even go in with you. They may even bring their own insurance underwriter with them, with you, to go into that site. The other thing that may happen is the insurance carrier may just ask you to completely stand down and request everything that you've got. They'll take it from here, and you're no longer involved in the process. Don't be offended. That's just the way sometimes that they work, and they have a responsibility to cover their customer, which is your company, and they're going to make sure to take care of that in a premeditated method that works for them. So it may be just literally hand the file off to them.
You may want to involve also your quality manager, your production manager, because as time goes on, they can help with some of the legwork that needs to be done as far as possibly tracking orders, what type of testing, what type of certification, documentation going back to the product itself.
When engaging an expert or an expert witness, that should be done as soon as possible. And when selecting this expert or expert witness, choose someone who has credibility, and that is longevity in the field, knowledge of the product, and field experience. All these go into incorporating the final opinion based on fact and experience, and someone who's also trusted in the industry.
Remember that you're there to gather the facts, gather information. You're not there to offer an opinion.
Never offer an opinion, because if you offer an opinion in the field, as far as what happened, why it happened, or whose product it is, you can be subpoenaed to appear in trial. And many times those opinions are premature, and they may not follow the fact or the findings, and it could actually put the company into a conflicting position as far as discovery.
You know, I would never admit that the product is yours, even though it might have the tag on it that represents your company. At that point, you're not really sure if you were the last person in that chain of command as it relates to that particular product.
The supply chain matters because it is tied to the traceability. And even though it maybe has your name on the tag, there could have been other people involved in that supply chain, and you don't know what maybe they did in handling, what they maybe did in storage, or something happened in shipping.
You know, a competitor of yours may have actually repaired that particular sling in between when you originally supplied it.
The chain of custody of a product that is broken in the field or involved in an accident is very important, because the actual manufacturer's name may be on the product, but as the product is sold to the first possible distributor, to an end user, all these different entities may be involved and possibly will be involved in the product litigation.
If you are permitted to remove the product from the site, it's a good idea to take the failed product, the product in question, and record who gave you that product, record the date and time they gave you that product, and record or take as much information or take as much product as you can. And as an example, if a wire rope were to have an incident where it's now cut in two, what you would like to do is get both samples of the rope, the end pieces, where the failure occurred, where it came apart, and also perhaps in a 6 to 8 foot length. In addition to that, you'd like to get another 6 to 8 foot piece that's away from the damage. That can have an indication and help with the investigation.
If a customer does give you the failed product, is your responsibility to protect and guard that product and put it in an area where it can never be thrown away or discarded while you have it in your possession. You really need to protect it, because let's say you casually put it on your shelf and somebody says, oh, this is an old broken product, and throws it out. At that point, you expose the credibility of the company for not managing that product right. And if this thing would ever go to trial and there was a jury involved, I'm sure the jury wouldn't be very sympathetic to the fact that the product disappeared.
So what are you really looking at when you're looking at the product? You'd like to look for identification, any markings on the product, but you want to look for any type of misuse perhaps, anything to indicate misuse, any abuse, any modification that may have been done to the product.
Any significant wear that may have occurred and maybe contributed to the accident?
And even if there is the product in question, you want to look and ask if there was any other products or equipment. Maybe it is something tied to a sling, but want to look at perhaps the hoist hook, or if there was a lifting device or a spreader beam or lift beam of some kind, to look at that equipment that was used in conjunction with that particular sling, any rigging hardware that might have been used.
I would also look to see if possibly a standard product was modified in the field, maybe by the customer. Look for signs of that also. I would also note any of the information on the tags. Are the tags there? Are they missing? Are the warning tags still there? And obviously if you can take pictures, but if you can't take pictures, your notes should be detailed enough to explain that yes, the tag was still there and there was still a warning tag on it when you saw it that day.
And even if the tag is there, was it obliterated? Was it defaced in any way? Was it covered in any way? Was the tag still legible? So, and also when you're looking at the tags, it's really important that you make sure that the information on the tag matches the information, the description of the product you're actually looking at.
You also need to be curious about the environment, particularly about the time when the incident occurred. You know, what was the weather? Was it windy? Was it rainy? The condition of the property, meaning were there holes around? You know, just the general environment. Ask questions and get a sense for what it was at the moment of the incident. It's also important to obtain any maintenance or inspection records related to the incident that may be available for the system that's in question.
We talked in the beginning, this is not something that we deal with every day, and this being responding to product incidents. It may happen every couple years, if even longer, but the whole key is that you have a fairly organized approach and that you provide training to those people who would be responsible for responding. It's a good idea to periodically train people who will be responding to such incidents. And it's also a good idea to have a checklist that they can refer to as they're going out to do that and begin that investigation, that documentation.
Hopefully this helps give you a little bit of insight into what good accident investigation could be, and understand the importance of that as it relates to protecting your company and also maintaining professionalism through the process.